Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for watching the Conquer with Chris podcast or listening in case you're in the audio realm. I want to welcome you. I want to welcome our guest, Professor Franklin. How you doing today, Professor?
I am doing extremely well, Chris. How are you?
I'm doing super fantastic, going higher and higher every day.
Wonderful.
We met a while ago, about 10 years ago. We had some interactions in a classroom setting. I just want to tell the people that I met you and we had good chemistry, if you will, from a professional standpoint. And I've always valued you as a person. And that's not supposed to be happening. Oh, I thought I muted this. I'm so sorry.
Oh, no worries.
Okay, let's take it again. Ladies and gentlemen, this is Chris Collier with the Conquer with Chris podcast, welcoming you to another episode. Today, I have Professor Franklin. She's someone I met a while ago. Welcome to the show, Professor Franklin.
Thank you. Thank you. It's a pleasure to be here.
Pleasure's all mine. I met her several years ago. She was one of my professors in a college course I was taking. And we kind of hit it off as far as intellectual thoughts and sharing of ideas. And so 10 years later, I reached out to her and said, hey, I have a podcast. We'd like to be on it. She says, I too have a podcast. So she's on. Tell us a little bit about yourself, Professor.
Okay, well, I wear several different hats. I'm a college professor, a life coach, certified Reiki master, which deals with energy, certified aromatherapist, a certified metaphysician, a published author, and Blog Talk Radio show host. And I do trainings for people who are interested in energy work. I specialize in a lot with energy. And I really love the work because it's really transformative and cutting edge.
Gotcha. So out of all these different hats you wear, you kind of like, I call myself a juggler, right? I juggle stuff. I'm always juggling a hat, right? Which one I'm wearing growing up. So which one I would take it that you said the energy is your kind of center, your spot, your sweet spot. So tell us a little bit how you got into that.
Well, for me, I was very interested in trying to find out how things work. I'm not religious at all, but I'm very, very spiritual. So I wanted to see how things were connected in terms of the universe, in terms of people. So I started to study different things. I started to study Egyptology, reflexology, aromatherapy, energy medicine, and Reiki. And when I started delving into those areas, I could see the connection. And then I wanted to definitely see how I could connect psychology, because that's how I met. I was teaching psychology at Argosy University. So I wanted to see how that could really take people to the next level, because I knew that everything came from energy. And I knew that what I was teaching at the college level was already passé, because I knew that if we're all energy bodies, energetic bodies, which quantum physics has now confirmed, then studying psychology in the traditional way was not going to transform people's lives. So I wanted to find out more about that, about how I could change people's lives on a deeper level, because I think traditional psychology and traditional therapy works for a moment, but it's not long lasting. So then I also wanted to see how we could help the body heal itself, because a lot of the masters in the different religious beliefs, like what people call Jesus, whose real name is Yeshua, a lot of them were avatars and masters, and they really understood the concept of energy, Buddha and a lot of the others. So I wanted to find out, how can I make a change not only in my life, but in other people's lives? How can I really change them at the core? First, you have to understand who we really are, and we're energetic beings. So then I said, okay, let me really study that. And then by understanding that, I can then see how they made change happen. How were they able to, as Yeshua did, convert water into wine, and Buddha sit for years underneath the Bodhi tree, and then all these revelations came to him. And then when he came out, he was an enlightened being. I said, well, if they did it, then we can do it as well. I just need to understand the principles that they studied or that they knew, so that I could then help others change and transform their lives. And I became my first client. I always try things with myself first. And I decided that I would use everything that was holistic, for aromatherapy, in terms of using the senses and changing the energy within your body by using aromatic fragrances to shift the body. And I saw that it was not only an art, but it was a science, and it has definite healing properties. And you don't have to cut the body. All you have to do is apply things topically. Like lavender, you apply it on the skin if you have a burn, and it will heal within a matter of days. So I said, okay, so there's something behind this energy thing. Then I started looking at Reiki, which is another energy practice, whereby you are looking at people's energy fields, the auric fields that are not perceptible to most humans' eyes, but you can feel it. If you rub your hands together, you can feel the energy between your hands. So when you do that, then you can also put your hand over your body. You can feel your energetic field. I said, okay. And then I saw how, and read studies how using Reiki was healing people on all levels. And then I started looking at metaphysics, which was to go beyond the mind, go beyond what you physically see, go beyond the physical and see exactly what's going on in terms of atoms in nature, in terms of the molecules and all of that. So I just started going deeper and deeper down a rabbit hole, and bringing them all together. And the latest thing that I'm doing now is called the emotion code, which is really powerful. I don't even do traditional therapy anymore. I do straight emotion code, which it combined with some other things that I've learned and that I've created on my own to help people heal mentally, psychologically, and it also affects the body too. So everything I do is energy based.
I had a friend, wow, I don't remember how long ago, at least 10 years ago, maybe longer. They were diagnosed with cancer, some kind of cancer. And the doctor who was working with them called them in and said, listen, if you want to beat this thing, you're going to have to go through some forgiveness. Mm-hmm. And she said, what does that have to do with the other thing? And I've come to find out from my personal studies and my personal thought process that at the end of the day, the people who have diseases typically have some kind of issue that they're holding on to, a grudge, someone they haven't forgiven. And typically what I found in the idea of thought is forgiveness isn't ever for the other person, it's for yourself. Because the only time that forgiveness really is the key to unlock the handcuffs to yourself. Yeah. And never frees the other person. The other person is still guilty or not guilty in what they did. Sometimes we have perceived wrongs, right? And we hold someone to that wrong, and it's not necessarily something they did. We just perceive they did it. And so I've just come to find out that when it comes to forgiveness is the key that frees you.
Yeah, that is very true. And forgiveness is an energetic process. What you do is you're releasing the energy pent up within your soul, within the cells of your body, and you're just letting it go. It doesn't mean that, like you said so perfectly, it doesn't mean that what the person did was correct. It just means that you're not going to hold yourself in prison any longer, and you're going to release yourself from that and go on with your life. Because a lot of times when people have to wake up and remember, I don't like this person. Yeah, I mean, every day you have to wake up to remind yourself, okay, I have to be angry. When I see him or her, I have to have this menacing look. I have to remind myself, that's a lot of work. So.
And they're not paying any rent. They're
yeah, exactly. And they're taking up space in your head and not paying any rent. So, exactly. I love that.
I love Jim Rome. Jim Rome says, don't ask those questions. It doesn't pay to ask those questions. Why is it this way? Why is that? No. If that's the rule, just go with it. When you get in charge, you can change the rules.
Yeah, I like that. I love that. And another one that I love is the 5x5 rule. If in 5 years it's not going to matter to you, only spend 5 minutes on it in the now. I said, I love that, because then it means that you're not giving away your power. So by understanding energy and that we are energy beings. Tesla talked about that. Tesla knew a lot about that. And so did Einstein. And I think that people now are catching up to where they were. They were way ahead of their time. So what they were basically talking about is you have to understand this concept of energy, which means that everything is permeable. You can change any and everything. That's why I tell people that the people who walk on hot coals in India and other people who've mastered it, they tell their mind that the cold, the heat and the cold is not real, and that it's just energy, and that they are going to be able to walk on the coal and not blister their feet, because what they've done is they've told themselves that their feet are not going to absorb anything other than coolness. So they walk on the coals and they don't feel any heat. But then a person who doesn't understand the concept of energy, who thinks that those coals are real, who thinks that the heat within the coals is real, then that person will suffer second and third degree burns, because that's their belief. So whatever you tell your mind in terms of this existence called earth and life, it's going to believe whatever we tell it. And the masters knew that everything is energy, that nothing is really permanent, nothing is the way that it seems. When you put your hand underneath a microscope, you don't see solid mass. You see just energetic impulses, and we have enough energy within our bodies to light up a city for a whole week. So that's who we are. But we've been taught
I don't know, my grandson, I think he has enough energy to light up a city for like 3 months.
Oh yeah, children have a lot of energy.
But if we can pivot a little bit, if it's all right,
Yeah,
I want to
sure.
talk about how. So you say you have your own practice. How you use this to help people and market yourself and grow, help and serve other people, really.
Yeah, what I do is, first of all, and I'm going to be teaching a course. I'm creating a course called Energy RX. I teach Reiki. I certify people in Reiki. I teach aromatherapy. I certify people in aromatherapy. I teach metaphysics, and I certify people in metaphysics. But in terms of this, because what I do for some people is so novel, they want to experience it. And what I do is I have, if pre-COVID days, what I would do, and now I'm going to do it via Zoom, but pre-COVID days, I would just do an experiment with people. I would show them how their minds could move coat hangers, steel coat hangers. Okay, and I got that concept from Pam Grout in the book E Squared. But your thoughts are so powerful because people don't understand that it's straight energy. So because that's an abstract concept. So I said, okay, I need to have something tangible to show them how this thing called thoughts and this thing called energy are invisible to the eye, but they're very, very tangible in the world of energy. So I showed them how their thoughts can move coat hangers. An angry thought will move coat hangers closer together and cross them. A positive thought would move the coat hangers further away, which means that you're able to receive love. So I give them practical things because this is an abstract concept. You can't see energy. You can feel it. Like if you go into a room, Chris, you can automatically know someone who doesn't like you. No matter how much that person is smiling or whatever. And I tell people, what do you think that is? I'm like, I don't know. This is energy. Energy is something that we have not been taught to recognize because you can't physically see it. We've been taught to only deal with the 5 senses. And then that makes us very, very trapped in the matrix.
Well, you said something there, and I want to address something. When you were single, or when I was single, we used to know these energies, right?
Yeah.
We call it someone getting in the groove, someone feeling someone's vibes. You knew you could feel that energy, right?
Yeah.
But
yeah.
all of a sudden now it's I believe in a lot of what you're saying. I just apply it differently.
Mm-hmm.
I happen to be a pastor, so
yeah.
I believe that like for example, the scientists say the universe is still expanding, right? So
Right.
if you go back to Genesis, it says God spoke, let there be. That means
Yeah.
that force of his word is still going out into the universe, right? It
Yeah.
hasn't stopped moving.
Exactly.
So,
Exactly.
so if we're in his image and likeness, what are we? When we speak, the good thing about us is we're stuck in an element called time. He's eternal. We're eternal, but we're stuck in time.
Mm-hmm.
Whole different thing to get into. But
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
the energy aspect is so critical. I believe that the reason why people have low energy, no energy, and I'm going to speak to those people now. They're not listening to the podcast, whether they be people who listen to my podcast or professors' podcast. Is the reason why you have low energy is because you haven't found your design or purpose. You're
Mm-hmm.
designed to do something. Not everyone can be president. Not everyone can be a police officer. Not everyone can be a carpenter. Not everyone can be a podcaster. But
Right.
here you go. When you get into a purpose that you're created to do, you find your passion and marry those two. The energy that flows from that, a lot of people call it work, but it becomes such a joy that it's not any work.
Right.
You can do it
That's
for
true.
hours on end, and you would do it for free, but you understand that you're giving so much value, you have to charge for it because people take it for granted.
Yeah.
Those of you listening, find your passion, your purpose, and there you'll find your power.
Yeah, I love that. That's true. Passion, purpose, and power, the 3 Ps. I love that. That is very true. And a lot of people are on this treadmill and life is not enjoyable because they're living out someone else's desires for them. Young people are living out the desires of their parents, or people in relationships are living out the desires of their partner. Children are living out the desires of the teachers or whatever. And so they don't really know who they are. And that's one of the questions I ask my clients when I, especially female clients, who are you? Independently of being a mother, independently of being a wife or whatever. And a lot of them said they don't know who they are. They've lost their passion. They've lost their direction because they've fallen into this grid, and so everything that they do is for someone else. It's not for themselves. And then when the children go and leave home and they become empty nesters, a lot of women have no idea as to who they are. And especially if they become divorced or the partner dies, they just feel like their ship just floating.
Well, let me address that because I think that's part of the thing is, see, the thing is like we both know this because we practice it, right? When you get to a place of serving because you have something you're passionate about versus I'm serving so I can find my passion. When you get the cart before the horse, it doesn't work.
Right.
I'm serving people because I have a passion to help them.
Right.
But when you have people who want to have a passion to help, but they don't have it and they're trying to serve, it's very clunky. You can see it. I've had it happen in my life. There's so many businesses I've tried and failed, and that's something else. You got to try something, do something.
Yeah.
There's no such thing as failure unless you give up.
Yeah.
And what I'm saying is, if you try business A, let's say you try to be a car dealer, and it doesn't work, try to rent cars. If that doesn't work, try something else. Because at the end of the day is you're not failing, you're learning what doesn't work. I like what Thomas Edison said when he tried to invent the light bulb. It took him 10,000 tries. He never said he failed. He said, I found 9,999 ways the light bulb does not work. I never failed because I never gave up.
But that's it. And what happens is that you have to be really committed to you and believe in you when no one else believes in you. And that's the thing that I love about Oprah. With Oprah, what happened was that she was so years ago that she was too unattractive to be in front of the camera. Her eyes were too wide apart. I mean, she was so all these horrific things. So now, having owned her own studio and her own network, she can go back to those same people and tell them, okay, I didn't believe what you said about me. So therefore, I was able to continue and persevere. You have to be your biggest cheerleader. You have to be so convicted and so convinced that you are it, that no matter what anyone else says to you, it's going to deter you, because you're going to have a lot of people not believing in it. And it makes sense because it's not their dream. The pronoun is my, it's not theirs. So people have to understand you have to own everything that you desire to do, even if you have 4 or 5 different dreams. Just own it and say, okay, I did that, and I did it for a moment, and it worked or didn't work, and I'm moving on to something better and greater.
Gary Vaynerchuk, I just heard him, someone was asking him, I was a real estate agent for a year and a half. I feel like I'm burnt out. He said, hold on right there. You're not burnt out. Maybe you just had the itch. You had a scratch for a year and a half, and now you're moving on to something else. It's no big deal. We get people, you know, I call it the Polaroid syndrome, right? Remember the Polaroid back? They take a picture and it come out.
Yeah, yeah.
We take pictures of people mentally, and we get them held to this Polaroid, and they can never change from that Polaroid.
Yeah.
I remember back when he was a single guy. I remember back when she was a single lady. I remember back when they were a married couple. Well, even if you're married, you grow in that marriage, hopefully, if it's a good marriage. So who you were 10 years ago isn't who you should be today. So the end of the day is you're always growing, you're always changing. And knowing that is, this is something else people need to do. They need to read.
Oh, definitely.
Because if people aren't reading, they're not, I always heard this, leaders are readers.
Mm-hmm.
And no one's going to follow you if you're not reading. And I actually mean books, people. I'm not talking about a Kindle or an iPad or an Android. I'm talking about real books. Get some paper. It's good. Mm-hmm. It's good for you.
I think that's really true. And I think this is something I heard a person who is into metaphysics, and he's a quantum scientist and a former, he's still a chiropractor, Dr. Joe Dispenza. And he said, do something new every day. Try something different. Rather than getting out of the bed on the same side of the bed every day, get out of the bed on a different side. Rather than going to the market the same way you've gone to the market for eons, try a different route. Try something different, because what you're doing is you're building new synapses in the brain. And your brain is saying, oh, okay, and it's expanding. But if you keep doing the same old thing, you're in a rut and expecting different results, they're not going to happen. So people have to really say, I'm going to try something different. And that's really challenging, because we get comfortable. You get comfortable in your robe, your old robe and your old slippers and whatever. And you don't want to change. It's like, no, this feels good. I'm in my comfort zone. I don't want to try anything different. And then, like you said, you can't grow. If you're not reading something different, a different book, or trying something different, going different foods that you may have never tasted, and your brain is like, wow, I'm expanding. And so by your constantly being able to add something new to the repertoire, to your tools, when you have a business like mine, or like yours, Chris, as a pastor, and you have these diversified clients, because you've done something different, you can speak to their interests, because you're multifaceted. You haven't just been doing things the old way or the traditional way. You're open to different ideas and different experiences. So people then are drawn to you like magnets, because they can see that light within you. Like I said, going back to energy.
Going back to Oprah, you said something, I want to touch back on it. You said she goes back to those people and said, I believe myself. She's so far past that. She doesn't even think about those people anymore. Because this is something I learned a long time ago. They never built statues to critics.
Yeah.
The only time they did was remember the two guys, I forget what their name were, the two older white guys that used to do, I want to say something in Siegel or something. There were two guys who reviewed the movies. They were funny.
Oh, yeah. Ebert and
yeah.
Siskel
and Ebert, right?
Yeah, Siskel and Ebert. Yeah.
So I think they did build a statue. One of them just to be funny because they were movie critics, but most of the time they don't build a statue to critics. And it reminds me of someone I was dealing with the other day at a place. they were talking about how bad this person was and how they couldn't do their job. And I was like, man, just because you put out someone else's light doesn't mean yours shines any brighter.
Very
And
true.
they took it so to heart. They turned around and said, I really wasn't putting that down to put, no, wait. You done burned out their light.
Yeah, that's true.
Look, we got to stop. You know, one of the things we have as people, we have a tendency to want to put other people down because we want to look bigger. But when you put someone down, it just makes you look smaller.
Well, it does. It does. And also, when you truly, and it also gets back to universal love, not personal love. When you are truly in love with life, you don't have time to denigrate and put anyone else down, because you know that going back to energy, you know, whatever you put out is going to come back. So if you put out a lot of negative energy and disparaging remarks, it's going to come back full circle. And it usually happens when you least expect it. It's not like, okay, it's coming on Tuesday, so I can prepare. No, it's when you least expect it.
Right. And now the flip side of that is when you're always busy working on you, and a side thought to that too, before I get into that, if you're doing A, no one else, there's not many people that are going to be good at doing A, because there's only so many people who can do A.
Mm-hmm.
But let them be a good good number one in B. Let them be the ace in being a B.
Mm-hmm.
And what I'm saying is not A, B is like the letter grade scale. I'm saying if you're a photographer, don't put down someone else. They might end up being a videographer, which is different than being a photographer. Some of the principles are similar, but there's shooting a moving film is different than shooting a standing film. So, you know, someone who wants to be a blogger or a vlogger or a podcaster, all those things have similarities, but they also have differences. So don't put someone else down because they do something different. And maybe you're there to teach them, show them the way to do it right.
Exactly.
I always get funny when people say, well, I don't think Christians should do that. I said, well, why don't you become one and show us how it's supposed to be done then? I don't have it all together. I'll be honest. I don't claim to be perfect. But here's the thing is, if you can do it better, do it better.
Yeah.
And my thing is just, you know, I hate to say it like this, but shut up and do it better.
Yeah. Also, too, when you see something that's not done the way that you think it could be done, then that's an opportunity. Maybe God is talking to you and saying, okay, I'm showing you something and you see the way that it can be taken to another level. So why don't you do that? People have done that with everything. You would never see people recreating the broom. The broom has been around for eons. And every so often you will see people coming up with a different version of the broom, because they said, okay, this is the standard broom here, but I can make one that's better, and people buy it. So you can see something that may not be to your liking, but then what you can do, that's what your inner God is saying to you. Well, why don't you take it to the next level? This is an opportunity for you. Rather than denigrating it, this is an opportunity for you to take it to the next level. And then when someone sees what you're doing and says that it's not as effective or it can be done differently, then that person can take it to another level. But I look at the broom and said, even though it's been around, there are people who say, well, they're still creating new versions of it, and they're making money on it. So because they see something that we can't see that will enhance our abilities to use the broom, and we buy them.
And who doesn't have at least one broom in their house?
yeah, we buy them. You know, I mean, every time when I go to the store, I say, oh, wow, this is a newer version. And because people see, they've been given that insight and they see that they can take that, like I said, to the next level. So for us, in terms of energy, getting back to energy for me, when we see things that are not the way that we desired for them to be, then I think God, the universe, the creator, is saying to us, okay, I'm bringing this to your attention so you can create, so you can attract energetically people to you who believe in you. And the whole thing is to get it back to the energy thing. And this is what I teach my clients. When you are a perfect match for that which you desire, you don't have to go out and seek it. It will come to you. It's magnetized to you. You don't have to go out to seek the relationship. You don't have to go out to seek the job. You know, the creator of the universe is going to put it right in front of you or lead you to the people. You don't have to do all the grunt work. When we're doing all the grunt work, it's because we have not allowed the creator to come in to show us and to be in alignment with it. The thing is for us to be in alignment with what we say we desire. If you want the perfect job, you have to be in alignment with it. Are you ready for the perfect job? If you want the mate of your dreams, would you marry you? That's what I ask women all the time. Would you marry you? And then they pause. And men
Yeah,
do too.
when I'm doing counseling, I always ask them, would you consider yourself to be someone else's dream mate?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Are you, because like you got to be with that what you want, right? If you want to
exactly.
be if you want to have the dream woman, the dream man, the dream person, you got to be that dream person for someone else.
Exactly. But it makes people pause because they haven't thought of it like that. They're always looking externally.
People always think selfishly first. It's like what I want. How can I gratify me versus how can I serve, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
So let me ask a question. We got a little bit of time left. This is probably one of the last questions. For someone who is a business person, an entrepreneur, a thought leader, an influencer, they're just getting started. How would you guide them and tell them to attract resources, money, like you said, people? How would you suggest they do that?
Well, for me, anyone who would come to me, first of all, like I said, I have this wonderful system that I used and I've modified it called the emotion code. It goes very deep energetically within your psyche, within your cognitive ability thinking, within the spiritual areas and all of this. So I do that, and it tells me, and I do very little talking, but it tells me exactly, it's dealing with the unconscious part of your brain or the subconscious part, right? And it tells me what the blockages are, because most people desire these great things, but they have blockages within their consciousness, within their psyche. Like you said earlier, Chris, some people have a lot of unforgiveness. So, and they think that they don't have to deal with it. Oh, that's woo-woo stuff. I don't have to deal with that. All I have to do is just get my MBA, go to the right school, get the right mentoring, and I'm going to do extremely well, and that's it. And they can do well on one level, but a lot of people, as we see, are emotionally and spiritually bankrupt. They can have the money, but then the other things that gives them happiness, because wealth is not just about the money. To be wealthy, it means that you are reconciling all those pieces, those fragmented pieces within you, that you come into terms with unforgiveness, that you come into terms with those shallow pieces of yourself and the skeletons in your closet, that you come into terms with it. Because we have heard of a lot of people who have money and they have committed suicide. So it's not about the money. People think if I just had the money, I would be happy.
Look, the way I look at it is this, and this is just my point of view from, you got to understand everyone has their point of view from where their perspective, right? My perspective is this. Money is one of the easiest things that God can get you. Believe it or not. If God gets you people, money is so easy to get. People are harder to get because there's less of it. People are more important than stuff and money.
Yeah, exactly.
So I always said wealth is this: being whole in mind, body, and spirit, having money and the time to enjoy it.
Yeah, very true.
Because you could have a ton of money, you could be rich and always be working. That's not fun.
Yes.
That's not that's broke.
Yes, it is.
I met a doctor in Nashville, Tennessee. He was some kind of nuclear radiologist, $300,000 a year. I said, man, it must be nice. He goes, no, sir, it's not. My insurance is $150,000 a year. Wait, you just got a 50% pay cut just by paying your insurance. Didn't include his staff, didn't include the building he rents, didn't include the equipment he has to rent. So 50% off the top is like a tax. Wow. And this is 23 years ago. I'm like, goodness gracious. Wow. So you make $300,000 a year, but you don't see half of it because of insurance.
Wow.
And so the thing is this is this is something else I've learned. Usually, not always, but usually people are broke at different levels. What are you saying? Well, I'm saying this. If you make $100,000 a year, you still are broke as the guy making minimum wage. because you just increase your spending. People don't know, understand delayed gratification, living underneath their means. Everyone wants to max out every credit card, max out everything. How about buying something and paying cash for it? How about getting a house that you can afford that's less than the rent that you pay, and maybe be out a little bit further, have to commute a little bit longer, but you have the peace of mind that the house is less than your rent was.
Yeah.
So, Professor, I'll let you get some words in, but while you're doing that, why don't you tell people where they can find you, and your podcast and whatever else you have.
Okay. But if you Google me, Professor Jamila Franklin, you will see everything. My website is oyendeenterprises.com, and that's oyendeenterprises, one word, .com. And then my business number is 770-882-7347. And I am very interested. And then I have a blog talk radio show that Chris is going to be on in the future, like in March, and that's called Higher Consciousness. So if you Google me, you will get the link to Higher Consciousness, or you can just channel search with Blog Talk Radio, and you see Higher Consciousness, and you will see my show. And I'm on every Wednesday live from 7 p.m. to 8 p.m. And you can call in, and we have very, very cutting edge topics that we discuss. And it's a very good show. I was on hiatus for about a year and a half. I've been on Blog Talk since 2012. Wow. And so in 2019, after 7 years, I took a year and a half off. Wow. So now I'm back, and I'm looking at different platforms to air my show, because a lot of people tell me, you need to be out there. We really enjoy the show. And I agree, but I'm doing it very strategically. I'm not necessarily a fan of Facebook. So, and there are a lot of other things that people have done, and they see that they're now being dropped from those platforms. So I like to control my platform myself.
Understood. Thank you, Professor Franklin. This is Chris Collier with Conqueror Chris. Please like, share, and subscribe to this video. We'll have all her information down in the description, or if you're listening, it'll be in the show notes. Thank you so much. Have a great day.